Remember the old meme with the three goofy-looking monkeys? You know, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Why does it remind me of the Republican Party? Honestly, in a world where reason should reign, the blindness of Putin's defenders on the right is a sickening spectacle, reminiscent of the self-flagellating left-wing elites of old. Take it away, Victoria.
Picture this. You step into Moscow's Sheremetyevo airport, greeted not by the stifling aura of corruption that hangs over our own nation, but by the gleaming smiles of immigration guards, decked out in their shiny jackboots. Here, in the heart of Russia, lies a beacon of unity, a civilization steeped in the grandeur of its history. Contrast this with the decrepit grip of a geriatric autocrat in the US, stumbling through days without grasp of reality.
They dare to suggest that Russian capitalism is noble and fair, while American capitalism is a cesspool of exploitation. In their twisted logic, Russian oligarchs are benevolent overlords, showering their people with prosperity, while tech billionaires and Wall Street tycoons bleed their workers dry. They speak of Russia's borders with reverence, ignoring the exodus of 1 million young Russians seeking refuge elsewhere, while migrants flood into the U.S. unchecked.
But the sickness runs deeper than mere delusion. A swath of the American right has succumbed to the notion that America itself is a moral abomination. They denounce the very nation that nurtured them, spewing bile against the land of opportunity that raised them up. They use the freedom granted by this nation to condemn it, betraying their own roots in the process.
The death of Alexei Navalny, a voice against Putin's tyranny, should evoke nothing but grief and outrage. Yet some on the right cannot muster such condemnation. Instead, they draw false equivalences, comparing Navalny's plight to political theatrics at home.
Yes, Joe Biden may be flawed. He may have led the nation astray. But let us not sink into moral bankruptcy by equating him with Putin. Biden does not order invasions on false pretenses, nor does he toss dissenters from windows or silence journalists with jail cells. He does not orchestrate murders on foreign soil or preside over the torture of critics.
If you cannot discern the vast chasm between Biden and Putin, then you have forfeited your moral compass. And that, my friends, is a travesty beyond comprehension. We have assembled a panel of real Americans, plucked off the street and positioned in front of our microphone, just so you can hear their opinion and maybe learn something, or you might just get angry because it's not what you believe. Anyway, here goes.
I could argue, sir, that Trump is not a victim of Democrats, but a victim of himself, having tried so very hard to become Vladimir Putin while in office and thereafter. Trump is a great danger to the American life and should be exported to his beloved Russia, where he and Putin can agree on who Putin is. In both of their minds, Putin is a great hero. Let them have each other. Alice, do you agree?
Trump did some of this to himself, but ignoring the lies from the left, as well as the lies from the right, ignores reality. The impeachments were purely political showmanship built on a house of cards by the Democrats. The stolen election claims from Trump, as well as Stacey Abrams and others, or the left, are just as bad. Anyone who votes for Biden or Trump in this coming primary election has no moral compass. In the general election, it is a different story. One of them is going to win. Pick the lesser of the evil people. I am joined by Amelia. Weigh in, will you, my sweet friend?
I agree and disagree with you, Alice. I agree that Trump is both a victim of his own idiotic behaviour and poor decision-making. Yet he is also a victim of his opponent's similar corrupt and idiotic behaviour. Everyone's hands are dirty. No one is clean. Athena, you are pretty level-headed. Thoughts?
So Joe Biden is Putin light. He and his colleagues simply use lawfare rather than physical force against their political rivals. Indeed, Governor Kathy Hochul gave the game away this weekend when asked if other business leaders should be worried about the decision in the Trump case. I think that this is really an extraordinary, unusual circumstance that the law-abiding and rule-following New Yorkers who are business people have nothing to worry about, because they're very different than Donald Trump and his behavior. See, that pesky concept of equality before the law no longer applies when it comes to political opponents. Am I right?
You are so right. Donald Trump is extra special and certainly should be above the law, and totally exempt from any prosecution at any time for anything illegal he did as president. So what if Nixon had be pardoned in order to avoid criminal prosecution? So what if Clinton lost his law license for several years and had to pay a $25,000 fine for his legal misconduct in office? They were not extra special and above the law like Donald Trump. Any effort to hold Trump legally accountable for anything at any time has to be political persecution. And if he does lose in November, he should just immediately announce that he is running again from that moment on for the 2028 nomination and claim further immunity from prosecution. Donald Trump is above the law.
That sounds like a major serving of sarcasm, Blake. Brian, you got anything to add?
Hochul is a governor and not a judge. She didn't prosecute the case. She is no genius, but it wasn't her fault that Trump has gotten himself in so much trouble in so many jurisdictions. This isn't a consequence of politics, but a result of his criminal and civil misconduct. Bruce, what is happening to that ever-lowering bar?
When you think they could not sink lower, MAGA compares Trump to Navalny, a person who cannot say anything bad about Putin, to a person who sacrificed his life to oppose Putin. Trump victimhood just reached a new low point, but just wait. They will go lower. MLK, Gandhi, Buddha, Jesus, etc. are all waiting for their Trump analogies.
Trump has already done his Jesus analogy. He posted a video, God Made Trump. The video starts out, and on June 14th, 1946, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God gave us Trump.
It's a good thing I found this Reed baseball cap in the Lost and Found. Make America Great Again. Sounds like a good idea, but I need the hat for a different reason. Barf.
Trump certainly extols the virtues of his glorious self in order to convince voters to give him power. Biden and his party hammer on the deplorability of his domestic political opponents to convince voters to give them power. Knowing that human nature is human nature, which one of those two is more likely to round up people and put them in boxcars?
Ouch! I think we can all agree Joe Biden is not as bad as Putin. In fact, not as bad as Putin would be a very accurate campaign slogan.
So proud a former president of the US and leader of the free world, Donald Trump, in his full-throated, unequivocal denunciation and condemnation of tyrannical despot Putin for the murder of Alexei Navalny. Oh wait, he didn't do that. He just exploited the opportunity to whine about his own persecution. My bad.
Trump says nothing about Putin's killing of Alexei Navalny because he thinks it is Putin's right to kill his political opponents and get away with it. Trump thinks as president he would have that same legal right too, as made clear by his lawyers recently when they argued Trump should be exempt from prosecution for anything illegal he did as president. And they actually said this should be true even if Trump had SEAL Team 6 kill one of his opponents. No wonder Trump thinks Putin's killing of Navalny and the prior attempt by Putin on his life is no big deal and unworthy of comment.
Let's summarize what we have just picked up here. The comments and opinions here reflect a seething anger towards Trump and the political climate. One commenter lambasts Trump, equating him to Putin and suggesting he be exiled to Russia. Another criticizes both sides for lies and moral failings, expressing disgust at the lack of viable options in the upcoming elections. Others highlight Trump's perceived subservience to Putin and his disregard for moral values, urging voters to consider alternatives. The discourse is filled with accusations, sarcasm, and despair, with little hope for constructive change in the current political landscape. The tone is one of frustration and disillusionment, painting a bleak picture of American politics and leadership. Jesus H. Christ, I can't wait for November to be over, and it's only February. This is one of those days where I might start drinking early.